Alright, good day. So today we're going to be doing the move zeros question on LeetCode. So given an integer array nums, move all zeros to the end of it while maintaining the relative order of the non-zero elements. Note that you must do this in place without making a copy of the array. So at first glance this might be a little bit easy, but the main kicker here is to keep everything to the left side of to keep everything in order. So in order to do that, what I decided to do is we're gonna use like a bubble down strategy with 2 pointers. So just look at the first example here where they give us 0, 1, 0, 3, 12. We're gonna have 1, 3, 12, 0, 0. So pretty straightforward in terms of just what they're asking us to do. So given the input, nums int is an int array, and then we're returning an int array nums. So we need to put all these zeros on one side. To do this, we will need to bubble down all of these zeros from the left to the right. You could also say it as you need to put all of the non-zeros on the left, but same thing. So some of the cases would be if they're all zeros, if they're all non-zeros, there are only 2 values in the array, and there's only 1 value in the array. For this one here, well, for these last two especially, we do have to take that into special consideration. So the first thing we want to do is to initialize the 2 pointers, left and current, which will be the start of the array, or car at the start of the array. So while left and car are less than the length of the nums, this is just so we don't go outside of the array itself. If car equal to 0, so basically one car to be checking if our current value is a non-zero value. So if car is equal to 0, well, if the location at car is equal to 0, then we need to increment and continue. We want to make sure that left stays on the leftmost 0. So if it is not equal to 0, then we increment, because we need left to be on a 0 so that when it does switch, we know that we're switching a 0 with a non-zero. So if the value at car and the left are less than 0, if the value at car and left are not equal to 0 and equal to 0 respectively, then, and also we want to make sure that we don't accidentally increment one more than the next. So we want to make sure that that left stays to the left of car, so we don't accidentally put back something on the next end. So we want to make sure that the left is always less than the car. Then we'll switch the values. Any current one that we work in, then we want to switch the values. Otherwise, the current would just increment that. So getting into the code here now, so we initialize our pointers. So while the current is less than the length of nums and left is less than the length of nums, first thing we check is if nums car is equal to 0. So if the value at location car and the current if car is equal to 0, then we increment and continue. If the value at left is not equal to 0, then we increment left and continue. If the number car not equal to 0 and nums left is equal to 0, then we know that we have then the condition to make a switch has been met. Well, and this, if the left is less than car, then we know the condition to make a switch has been met, because this is 0 that's further down. This is 0, and then there's a non-zero value, so we need to switch them. So we do that switch there, and then we increment car. If it's not 0, then we just increment. So a couple comments about my code here. Probably not the most efficient way to do it, quite honestly. You could probably use a for loop here, because you really do have to just increment car regardless of what happens, I think. And you could just leave left and increment that when you make a switch. So probably not necessary to use a while loop here. You could probably cut down a lot of the code by using a for loop, but it will only go through the time should be O(n), because it should just go through it once, and the space complexity doesn't do anything, so it should just be of whatever the nums array is. And as I said, it is not the most efficient thing, but it works. But there's definitely some improvements to be made here. Probably starting off with getting rid of this while loop and using a for loop instead. But yeah,